Great word of the 21st century is, you guessed it, boys and girls, neurosis. Neurosis can be defined as a irrational and excessive anxiety or obsession. It's a mental state where anxiety is the pilot, even if you don't feel like you're losing your mind. Decisions are hard, and of course, not all decisions are made equally. In this video, we'll explore different philosophers and psychologists and see their takes on analysis paralysis, decision-making, and the anxiety that comes along the way. Jean-Paul Sartre famously declared that man is condemned to be free. It's a declaration that is equal parts horrifying as it is empowering. We didn't ask to be born, but now that we're here, every single thing we do is a choice, even not choosing. Delaying choice creates anguish, according to Sartre, because we have no one to blame but ourselves. We love to pretend that we're victims of circumstance. I can't work out today because I'm too sore or I'm tired. I'm not good at drawing, so I just will never bother practicing. Sartre calls this thinking bad faith. It's when you lie to yourself and pretend that you're an object, a thing with a fixed nature, rather than a free conscious being. See, you're not a shy person, you're a person choosing to act shyly because it's safer than risking being social and being rejected. You aren't bad at math, you're choosing not to study because you're afraid that you might study and fail still. This is the core of Sartre's famous line, existence precedes essence. It means that we are born into this world like blank slates. The caveman didn't have an essence of being a hunter. He became a hunter by picking up a spear. So too, you do not have a pre-written destiny according to Sartre, or a blueprint of your soul. You are nothing until you act. Therefore, according to Sartre, we are the sum of our actions, nothing more, nothing less. Now that's a heavy pill to swallow because that means that the universe doesn't really care that you had a bad childhood. It doesn't care if the unemployment rate is skyrocketing and you can't afford a house. Sucks to suck, skill issue. You are the sole author of your life. And if the story sucks, you're the one holding the pen. Now, of course, we might say to Sartre, hey, you're being kind of a dick, dude, okay? People are born with disabilities, both financial, mental, physical. There's circumstances that shape the way you are. And while Sartre may agree, because he's not disregarding that people are born into shittier situations than others, the problem is that Sartre says that now that you're here and this is your situation, you gotta make the best of what you can. Because even if you're playing a game and your buddy gives you the shitty controller that's broken, you are still playing the game. Try your best. What else is there to do? Now, this is great as motivational talking point, and maybe a nice little splash of water if you feel like you've been daydreaming, slipping through life. But Sartre doesn't provide a concrete solution to your problems. Like most great philosophers, he just adds to your anxiety because now you have a greater awareness of your own freedom. While Sartre claims that we lie to ourselves, Heidegger says that's only partially true. Heidegger points out that we've unfortunately outsourced our souls to the crowd. He argues that to avoid the crushing anxiety of being an individual and the responsibilities of realizing our true freedom, we fall into the they, or in German, das Man. Think of das Man as the Amazon choice decision/option for your life. We buy the 30-year mortgages, we get the corporate email job, and we wear the Patagonia vest not because we sat down and decided this is who I am, but because that's what one does. It's a sedative of freedom's anxiety. See, here's the manipulative aspect of your mind. It's easier to follow the script written for you by the crowd than to write your own. Because if you follow the script of society and you fail, you can blame the script and you can blame society. If you write your own script and you fail, you have to blame yourself. And that is something we never want to do. We become inauthentic when we follow society's scripts, drifting through life like a carbon copy of a human rather than the real thing, simply because we fear the potential failure. But wait, you might say. I'm not following the herd, I'm thinking logically about my future. Well, welcome to the medieval trap known as Buridan's ass. Buridan invites us to imagine a perfectly rational donkey that is equally hungry and thirsty. It is placed exactly halfway between a bucket of water and a bale of hay. It can even calculate the distance of its position to both, and they're both equally distant from the donkey. Immediately, we might say, just pick one, solve your immediate issue regardless, because they're both good options. The problem is that in action, we as humans don't do that. Since there is no logical reason to choose one over the other, the donkey chooses neither, and so do we. We stand there paralyzed by our own logic and die of thirst and hunger. In our case, spiritual, metaphysical. This is analysis paralysis. It's the feeling you get when deciding on large decisions. Sometimes being rational is actually the dumbest thing you do. We try to min-max our lives like an Elden Ring build, terrified of making a suboptimal move. While you're calculating the perfect path, you're starving to death in the middle of the room. Psychologist Barry Schwartz has written a lot on choice and decision-making, and he believes that Buridan's donkey was onto some deeper truth of reality. Schwartz coins it the paradox of choice. Evolution designed our brains to handle antelope or berry. It did not design us to handle the toothpaste aisle at Walmart, or the infinite scroll of Uber Eats and Netflix. Schwartz argues that while some choice is freedom, too much choice can turn into slavery. In his research, he also points to two camps of human beings, maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers need the absolute best result. They read every review, compare every spec, and obsess over every single little detail. Shockingly, these people are miserable. Why? Because even when they pick the best thing, they're haunted by the FOMO of the options not chosen. Satisficers, on the other hand, have that caveman smooth brain energy. They find something that meets their standards, like, is it edible? If yes, great, move on. They're genuinely happier and more fulfilled. The problem with modernity and the modern world is that it wants to turn us into neurosis-riddled maximizers, paralyzed by the fear that a better option is just one click away, one more real TikTok scroll down, or one more Hinge date out. So maybe become a satisficer. Return to a traditional life of inhaling paint fumes and becoming a Neanderthal. I'm Neanderthal pilled. Because you might actually live a healthier life. This is a harder thing to do than just to say. If logic kills a donkey, society turns you into a clone, and freedom terrifies you, what's the play here, boys? The answer, according to the heavy hitters of philosophy, is fuck it, move off, let's go! Goat of neurosis examination, and someone who suffered from neurosis, is Søren Kierkegaard. For Kierkegaard, anxiety isn't a fault in our wiring, but a feature of being human. He famously said that anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. When you look into a yawning abyss, you get dizzy, not because you might fall, but because you realize you have the freedom to jump in. The infinite possibility paralyzes us because we functionally can't experience and choose every single option. We must always give up something for something else. Kierkegaard makes it clear that part of our fear of freedom is a terrifying realization that there's really not much stopping you from doing anything you want, even if it's morally reprehensible. But it also means that you're responsible for your actions, something both Sartre and Heidegger brought up. We might understand this logically on paper, but in daily life, most people don't live like that. If your dream, for instance, is to become an actor in Hollywood, you could devote energy, time, happiness, and money to living in your car in LA, cold calling every agent, actor, and connection, and try to break into the industry. But how many people would actually do that? If you didn't get into law school, you could apply and apply and apply again, consistently improving your LSAT, your GPA, until you finally get in. But we as humans tend to place blame externally. I didn't get accepted, so it wasn't meant to be. It's just not who I am. I guess it, doesn't work. It's a dangerous thought, but it's also a safe thought. The result of this non-action is what Kierkegaard labels despair. It's very similar to the anguish that Sartre talked about. But it's not the kind where you're crying in your room in the middle of the night. It's a despair where you don't possess a self, because you never actually chose to be anyone. A side character in your own life is letting the universe decide for you feels safer than admitting that you could have tried and failed. Kierkegaard realized that logic and rationality only go so far, and can actually become our worst enemies. We think if we just get enough data, the right choice will light up in neon. But that's bullshit. Logic can get you to the edge of the cliff, but it can't make you jump. So Kierkegaard says you need to take that leap of faith. The leap of faith is the moment you acknowledge that there is no certainty. You accept that moving to LA to be an actor is objectively stupid and irrational, and then you do it anyway. You can't think your way out of neurosis. You have to act. To become a true individual, you have to make a choice that logic can't justify. Own the consequences and say, this is mine, my life that I made brick by brick. And while I might have missed countless opportunities along the way, I did it my way. So you jump to take that leap of faith, deciding to listen to Kierkegaard. But now as you're falling, you turn to your right and who's there but our boy Friedrich Nietzsche. See, Nietzsche despised the regret that comes with decision making, as we all do. We spend half our lives looking back, wishing we'd chosen differently. Nietzsche's antidote for this is amor fati, love of fate. You shouldn't just tolerate your decisions, okay? You should love them. He wrote a terrifying thought experiment called the eternal recurrence. Imagine a demon came to you tonight and said, this life, as you now have lived it, you will continue to live on a loop an infinite amount of time. Every pain, every joy, every embarrassing text you sent, and every decision you made or didn't make is on a loop forever. If that thought crushes you at all, if you even feel like, I prefer not, I sadly have to inform you that you're making the wrong choices. If it empowers you, you're living correctly. The goal is to live so boldly that you would scream, yes, fuck it, we'll do it again. But how practical is that? Because let's be real, I know your next point. What happens if I make a decision and then regret it later? The American pragmatist William James would call you a nerd. For James, in cases where evidence can't help us because we don't know, we must let our passional nature decide. He noted that when you have to make a choice and don't make it, that is in itself still a choice. Indecision is a coward's way of letting the universe decide for you. If you stand at the crossroads waiting for a sign, you've already chosen to stand still. James is the philosopher of fake it till you make it, because sometimes you don't believe in the path until you start walking it. Action generates belief, not the other way around. You can learn to love that job that you once hated. You can learn to live more modestly to pursue that less financially stable job. But don't stand there waiting to do something, because that's the worst possible choice you unconsciously make when you stay frozen. Before we end, I want to bring up modern philosopher Ruth Chang, who flips the whole script we tell ourselves. We usually think hard choices like becoming a lawyer versus becoming an artist, or moving to a different country for job opportunities or versus staying at home is a curse because we don't know which is going to be better or which is better. Sometimes they're both good. Chang argues that hard choices are actually the greatest part of being a human. They are hard because the options are equally good, but different. And just like Buridan's ass, logic has run out. There are no right answers. For Chang, that's the only time we actually have free will. Because think about it, in an easy choice, dealing with pain or pleasure, the world dictates what you do. Easy. But in hard choices, the world is silent. No one can really tell you what specifically to do. In these moments, we aren't discovering which option is better. We are actively creating our own identity by choosing one. And if you don't know who you want to be, you still get to decide. The choice doesn't reveal who you are, it makes who you are. So stop looking for the answers outside of yourself, start writing your own, and take some action. Sorry for being MIA for a little bit, boys. I'm going to try to upload a little bit more frequently nowadays, because I also deal with indecision. But if you like this video, maybe I'll do another similar video. So subscribe and like, comment, tell me what I should do next. Bye.